How's that?
Great.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. This is the June 18th, 2026 Managing Board Meeting on River Service District. And with that, we'll have a call to order and the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, and with that, we're gonna have a very quick intro of our newest ex officio member. Dale, welcome aboard. Dale Harrison, if everybody hasn't met him. I think he's made his way around the area here, and welcome aboard. We're happy to have you and the representation and from SROA.
It's my pleasure. And I just want to comment that Randy Schneider and his wife Sherry are neighbors. And so I'm learning a few things from him.
Good. Yeah. Speaking of Randy, do we have Randy on the line? He's frozen. I think he was trying. Yeah.
He's golfing.
He probably is. Yeah, okay, well, when he gets up, we gotta have a little talk with Randy when he gets back online. So with that, we'll just go ahead and get started with the meeting itself, and that will have a roll call. Director Luke, Director Stevens, Director Kelly. Chairman Pfister is present and on the road somewhere in Idaho, correct?
Outside of Ketchum.
Okay, well, welcome aboard. Here we go. And Director Shoemaker is here, present. Any public input at this time? I didn't see anything on the list. So with that, we'll go ahead and get the usual meeting agenda started. Start off with the consent agenda today, and we have a few motions to approve. I hope everybody had a chance to work their way through those. Mindy, did we need to address any one of those in particular at this time?
I did get feedback from Director Stevens that on the May 21st, 2026 regular meeting minutes, there's an edit on the bottom of page 1. Under number 3, it says both fire chiefs instead of just both chiefs. So I'm going to remove that. Other than that was the only edit I received from the meeting minutes, unless anybody else had any changes.
All right, well, we'll just keep that in there, and
Yep.
that'll change will be made next meeting. We had in our items in there was the SSD joint meeting minutes, the regular meeting minutes, our workers' comp, that was the biggest one, payment for this year. And can you just speak for just a minute? We just had a brief conversation,
Yeah.
but where it was last year and where it is this year, and some mitigating proposals you might have or what you're looking into.
Yes, so I'll go into more detail on one of the ideas that I'm working with some staff on to help bring that cost down. But basically, it's just our workers' comp insurance. It's based on salaries. So there's individuals in different sections, and based on that section is the rate of their workers' comp insurance. So for instance, police and fire have a higher rate than I do as admin. So I basically enter in all of our salary data. We get this invoice, and then at the end of the year, there's an audit to go back, and usually involves a credit because we usually don't pay all of our budgeted salary for the entire year. Usually there's some sort of vacancy or something. But it went up, I believe, 8%. That's due to we have one high claim that still has one more year on rotation. And then when that comes off, hopefully then that'll mitigate some of the increases in future years. But any workers' comp claim, big or small, has an impact on how much that cost is. So I know the chiefs have their own protocols and their safety committee in different ways that as a department trying to mitigate any claims as well. So it's a yearly invoice, it's budgeted, we will not pay that till after July 1 though. But it needs to be paid because we do get a discount if we pay it within, I think, the first 2 weeks of July. So I need it approved at this meeting, so we can write that check July 1st and get any of the discounts.
Questions on that? Okay, and with that, then we have the, chief, maybe you want to address the Hughes Fire invoice, because I was reading through that truck. Looked like it, was limping almost.
Kind of. I mean, when it, for its annual maintenance. And so they found some things that need to be replaced from a safety standpoint. So tie rods had to get replaced, alignment, we had pressure lines that had to be done because they were leaking, and so it's just bringing it up to speed. So that's what you get. I mean, you know, it's annual maintenance on heavy equipment. So
That was the ladder truck, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought, so, yeah. I think we had the same questions last time.
Well, Director Stevens and I were talking about it on Tuesday, and she's taking her Audi in, and she's like, yeah, my service on my Audi is gonna cost that much. It's a $1.1 million. Give me some apparatus and keep it going.
And then the final one, this was just the radio agreement. Deschutes County 911. Did anybody have any questions on that? That's the annual contract and we have to pay.
Yep, for support services and yep.
Is there an increase?
3%.
3%.
That's their annual.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I'm presuming Vice Chair Shoemaker can sign that. But if it needs to wait for me, I'll be back in July.
No, I think as long as there's board approval, then any of the board members could sign.
All right.
Okay, and so with that, I take a motion to approve the consent agenda as discussed.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. With that, I take a vote. Director Zook,
Yes.
Director Stevens,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director, Pfister,
Yes.
and Director Shoemaker votes yes. I'll get those signs there.
Okay.
Moving on to old business, we have public safety building construction and drywall project by the chief, Pete Booz and Jim Pfister. Wants to take the lead on that.
I can on the drywall. So we have finished up all the bid work and contract language around the bid. And all the various different aspects of that engineering, which is done. So it's out for bid right now. So we're out for bid on the drywall project. It closes July 1st on 3 p.m. And then we will take those bids and then grade those, and then we'll come to the board in July to approve who we feel will be, we'd like to give the contract to. Myself, John Ralston, Jim Pfister, and Rod Bjork will be the ones grading it. So we'll grade it on price and work, you know, their history and reputation, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that'll be done and tied up, and then we can get it started. We're looking at construction, hopefully to start after the 1st of August. So that's when everything will start digging in. So it'll probably take 2 to 4 weeks, maybe, somewhere right in there, and get it all done-ish. So
Remind me, where is the location going in?
it is going in on the south apron.
On the south apron?
Yep, yep. So that'll all, you know, so we don't have the drainage that comes down. So, and yeah, we'll just see what what the bids come in at this point. We have had, folks that have reached out, wanting clarification on a few things, so we know that there's people interested, so. That's where we haven't had one bid in hand yet at this point.
And I will note, we did already pass Sun River design review. So we'll be ready to go as soon as the bid's accepted.
Okay, well, hopefully it's in the process. Thank you. We have, again, status of the SSD reserve study. Mindy, what's the latest?
I have an update.
Yes, we want to hear.
Yeah, well, it's I worked with both chiefs. We went through the inventory list again. Identified some issues or some corrections. I sent that information off. Now that we're close to year end, I was able to send off some of the financial data. And so, it is in, the hands of who we contracted with to provide that information. I have a meeting with them next week, just to ensure that kind of we're on the same page since it's been a long project. And then in the meantime, I believe Chief Rassick has also a few other changes he's working on, so hopefully we can come together and get that. So there's your.
That's awesome, because I want to really see that before we.
Yeah. I'm tired of having it on the list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good. I'm glad there's,
Yep,
that's,
yep.
because again, to reiterate, that's kind of a starting point for some decision making
you
that
bet,
needs to happen
you
in the
bet.
near future. So that's a really good starting point, especially going forward in the out years. We need that base to be very thorough. That's one reason it's taken a while.
Also, it's gonna be very helpful in budgeting, not only to have, an idea of what the reserve fund contribution should be, but also just in having one snapshot. I know each department has their own capital needs lists and when those come due, but it'd just be nice to have that and the building needs all in one document so that as we're budgeting, we're like, oh shoot, like in 2 years, this is gonna be. We have a more projection for that as well.
Yeah, it's been kind of haphazard until we started to address the issues as a whole versus kind of piecemeal.
Yeah. So,
That's good.
yep,
That's good. Thank you.
so more to come.
Does the third party have all the information they need?
Mm-hmm. Yep, they sure do. So they're processing it. There might be just a few additions with, police, but other than that, they have all the information to process. And, like I said, we're gonna meet next week so that if they're fully understanding of the outcomes we're looking for, and I'm hoping to have a draft. If not sooner, I can email it out as soon as I get.
That's great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Number 4 on the old business list here is the update on the Caldera crosswater potential expansion. Just a couple of notes in regards to that. It's been ongoing. We did receive back findings findings, I guess would be the best term, evaluation of the legal findings by a attorney firm, the attorneys we retained to investigate it. It was pretty thorough and it was sent out in a very usable format that explained a lot of it. And I think every board member got a copy. Okay, I know it was kind of in-depth to kind of regurgitate it real quick, but it opens the door for further discussion of what the next steps need to be. And I'm just gonna kind of leave it at that. I know Indy and Director Stevens has on that particular call. And maybe they have something you want to ask.
Well, the one takeaway we got, because I feel like the last few meetings we've been talking about, one of the pieces is whether or not the district can split rate for, split services. And so one of the things as to why this has taken a while is that we are the only police and fire district in the state. And we are one of very few districts in the state that provides different services. You know, it's either a water district, a fire district, like specific items. And so, there's not a lot of precedence for districts that have different services all under one roof. And so one of the Caldera and Crosswater came to us wanting to explore us providing police services only to those areas. And the board follows the due diligence of us to research and retain legal counsel to answer some of these questions because we didn't know. And so through these meetings, we did find out and got advice through counsel that we would not, they don't advise, I think it's how they put it, to do that because there's statute and some ORS that states that you can't have portions paying different portions of the entire district. You know, in order to have them pay just a police portion, there would have to be just a police district. So that's not an option. So we found that, so, but there's a few other pieces in there that, you know, it's just up to the board if they would like to get more information and have some more costs associated with that to move forward with this. But I believe got the information that Caldera was looking for and unfortunately it doesn't look like we're able to just provide a part of our district services.
So at this point, probably going to just circle back to Caldera and let them know where we stand and what we
Yeah.
found. And then they have to make their own decisions based on the
Right.
information we provide them. And that's where we are right
Jill, did I?
No, that's a great summary. Yeah, I mean, what we have really been waiting to hear is, can we split? You know, I mean, is it possible to do partial? And the answer is, very unlikely. You know, if we want something super definitive, given that there is no precedent, then they have to do additional research and, you know.
That was pretty
Yeah.
thorough what they sent back.
It's getting quite thorough, but if we need something definitive, right, then that's, more research, I guess, but I think we're pretty clear, about what we can and cannot do. And then, yeah, really, it's up to us to decide how we would present that to the requesting parties and then how we answer their, whatever that request is.
now. And I would note that, go ahead, Jim, sorry.
I was gonna say, I think the one thing that we should consider was their response on two separate tax rates and whether that would require two separate districts with separate governing boards, or whether that could just be done. And we might want to involve county legal in that. And in fact, if there's no issue, we don't have to do it immediately, but I think we should probably share those findings with county legal. Because I know Doyle has had some interest in this and from a couple of different perspectives.
What's the specific question you're asking?
The specific, the one, is there any issue with us sharing this with county legal? Yes or no? And we can decide that at some point in the future. And then the second was just the question on whether we could do a single district with two separate tax rates, or whether we would have to be two districts with two separate tax rates. What Black Butte found was that it was easier to do two separate tax rates, and that's the way that they split up. But what I'm saying is, if we were going to do any follow up on this, that would be where I would look. I think they were pretty definitive elsewhere.
Well, in their findings too, there was options in there we could discuss that were not just those binary ones you just gave. There's other ones.
Okay.
So I think, but anyway, it requires definitely further discussion. Because we just got those back, so I think that's where we got to go. But we do need, most importantly, I think we need the input from Caldera HOA board members to see what their feeling is at this point, based on what we're going to provide to them. So I think, and then potentially, well, we can discuss the timing of it, but going back to county legal, I think probably would be driven by that's my feeling anyway.
So
my only comment on sorry, Denny. My only comment on sharing it with county legal was that they have some interest in what the answers are, because while we're unique in terms of what we do, similar issues have come up, and so I think this might be useful for them. But again, we can decide when and how to share that with them.
So with the way what I read, it would affect our discussions with Pine Fire District as well. Is that correct?
Potentially,
Correct.
only if we were to decide to go one way.
Right.
There are other entities that could be involved. depending on which.
Right.
Curious, today, the two communities approach you?
Yes.
That's a good sign.
It's going back a while now, but it's a process, let's just say.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of questions we've never received before. So we hired, thank you, I'm sorry, you haven't been, this is your first meeting. So we hired, some legal counsel to help guide, so that if anybody came to us with these questions, that now we have more information. So that was kind of on us. And now it's like, okay, here's the information, needs to go back to them. You guys figure out how you want to move forward.
And part of the issue, Bill, was that we couldn't necessarily get those decisions, legal decisions out of county because they are our governing board. And so there could be a conflict of interest, so we had to go to an outside counsel.
Because we retain the Deschutes County Legal as our legal advisors. But where there's areas that there can be a conflict, then they have first priority with Deschutes County entities, which would be the Deschutes County Sheriffs, because it could impact Deschutes County Sheriffs. So that's why we had to go out and find their counsel.
So that's kind of put us back to where we are now. And I'm still working on Altera to sit down and get answers from the right people to the process. So working on it. But we'll get back to you when we know more. And on the financial side of that, we still have a little bit of money left in the legal pot, so to speak, that we authorized for the attorney. So we didn't exceed that, right?
Correct. As far as I know, other than the meeting that we had, I can't imagine it would exceed that. So,
Believe that was it.
yeah.
Just kind of the status.
Yep.
So it came in about what we figured.
Is there
So far.
going to be more expensive by chance?
Well, I guess that will depend on the meeting with
Okay.
Altera. That's the best I can,
I know, I'm just curious because it's what they sent back, like I said, was pretty comprehensive.
Yeah.
I didn't know what else to be that we need.
But the only thing that I could see right now is if we decided to pursue it, with the potential for conflict of interest, we would potentially incur some more legal fees. But of course, if Altera is asking for this, then they would, at least I think the board's position should be that it's a shared cost.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah.
One thing that the legal team noted, and I think all of us would agree with, is if you're going to move forward with any kind of the changes that any of these paths, it really requires support. We require the support of the Sun River voters, the Caldera teams, the county. You really need to have everyone understanding what would be involved, and you need some support behind it. That doesn't have to be uniform support, but I think that was a great point. That and I think maybe this is sort of what you're talking about, Jim. They have interests, the Deschutes County has interests in maybe similar or related type questions that come to them. Getting them on board if we wanted to make a change would be.
Would it be advantageous to get representatives of those communities, representatives from our board to sit down and talk about realistic aspects of it, and potentially moving forward what those costs would be?
But that's really a call, you gotta have Altera that, I mean.
Yeah.
They have to say, this is what we want to do based on what we found, the information provided. And then we can pursue that.
If crosswalk wanted, then they would have to see the table too, right?
The last crosswalkers.
Oh, okay. Good.
I mean,
They did not express an interest.
they didn't express an interest, and to be honest, I don't think they understand the issue. From my discussion.
It could pop up.
It could totally pop up. But this will have broken the ground of what we need to do, and we would have the,
Because that's a good framework for how discussion goes forward.
yeah, exactly. Anything else on that? With that, we have an update on the nominating committee, status of board candidate nominations. Chair Pfister?
Okay, The nominating committee obviously put out its request for applications as well as worked on its updated handbook. We had interest from what we viewed as 3 qualified candidates, 2 of which applied. One requested to defer his application for another year, citing some other work that he was doing. So we had 2 qualified candidates. We interviewed, both passed the interview process, went through background check and passed the background check. And so the nominating committee sent a memo per the process to the Deschutes County Board of Commissioners, who is the governing board that would approve the 2 members. The 2 members are Corey Boudreau, he's a Sun River owner, lives locally in the area but does not live in Sun River, and works locally. And then also Brian Tinkin, who is a Sun River owner but lives remotely, I believe, in the Willamette Valley, and is also working full time. So the 2 of those have been submitted to Deschutes County. We would expect that. Mindy, did you get a timeline yet on approval?
No, but it's slated for late July.
Yeah, so it should be slated. The way the process works is the nominating committee submits this to Deschutes County for approval, and notifies this board of the decision. That would give this board an opportunity to provide additional information to the county if they either had enthusiastic support or felt that there was an issue. I don't necessarily think that there's any issues speaking as a board member, nor do I think that they need our enthusiastic support. I think they're 2 qualified candidates. So I don't think that there's any actions. As the board liaison on the nominating committee, I would not recommend that there's any action that we need to take other than to wait for the county approval. But the board could obviously decide that.
And just to know, I always attend those meetings anytime Sun River's on the docket for the county. I always attend those meetings, but it usually is pretty smooth. I'll also note that I let county know that Dale Harrison is now the ex officio, so there's no vote needed or anything for an ex officio position. So they've been notified of this position to the board too, and that went smoothly. So yeah, we should hopefully. Rachel invited them to the August meeting, so that we can meet them and they can kind of see how this works before they start on the 1st September.
Thank you. And with that, move on to new business and right back to Administrator Holliday for her monthly report.
Yes, thank you, sir. So just to make it quick, financial, I presented the budget adjustment that was approved at last the board meeting for the items that Officer Ardays needs for CERT. And so that was approved and I believe has been ordered. Chief, yes.
Correct.
And then, like I already mentioned, met with staff to update that reserve study. The SSD Finance Committee met and we discussed several different initiatives, kind of providing updates and recommendations, some ideas that have come out of that committee. We're kind of pausing for the summer and we'll pick back up again in September. Let's see. I also established an account online with GovDeals because we actually have some surplus property. And so to get us into compliance with ORS, we now have that on an auction site to be able to get rid of any items within statute there. Continue to work on the 6-year financial projection. And then posted the drywall invitation to bid on Oregon Buys, which is the state procurement website for any government agencies. So it's on our website. We've gone through the proper channels there, but I also posted on that, which has thousands upon thousands of vendors that get notifications of anything posted there, just to hopefully broaden the outreach on potential bids for that project. Met with both chiefs and staff, sent SROA our first invoice for the May rules and regulations compliance. There's some questions, follow-up questions, and Dale, I included you on that. So Tuesday, I think we're going to meet with SROA staff to kind of go over that. And then as the the conduit between our boards. I thought it'd be great if you could attend as well, so you're copied on that email. Just to kind of go through, it's the first invoice, so there's just some questions back and forth between the agencies.
Good.
And then attended some meetings, the update with, the workers' comp policy. So I'm working with WHA, our insurance agent. So there's an opportunity for some cost savings on that, invoice that you guys just approved. That I mentioned, it's called BTRs. And so I'm gonna be working with, a handful of people in each department that kind of cross between different sections. So for instance, someone, you know, as a police officer, their rate for workers' comp is higher than my rate as an admin. But if that officer, like the chief, does a certain portion of his job as an admin, we don't need to be paying the entire rate for him as chief. And so there's different documentation that's needed for that. So I'm working with WHA to go through that process to kind of work with both chiefs and some other staff that have been identified to hopefully bring down that cost a little bit so that we're only paying workers' comp rates for the actual work that's being done. So it just is a few more steps, but it could be significant financial benefit for the district. And then I met with the police leadership, just working on some HR procedures for recruitment and hiring and who's doing what. So that was great. Working also to revise the employee handbook. ADP has a great feature, our payroll processing company, to be able to do that. So I'm working with them online to help with that piece. And then met with Mr. Harrison to get him up to speed on the board. And then, like I talked about already, the Caldera and Crosswater discussions, nominating committee, and then quite a bit of professional development opportunities as well. So with all that, that is my report. If anybody has questions?
Maybe I'm not gonna be here Tuesday.
Oh, that's fine.
Is there somebody else you'd like me to pinpoint?
No, I think,
James or?
well, he's involved too. So I just, you know, as going back and forth, so I think we've got enough of a crew. I just wanted to extend the invite. So thank you.
It's and on that, yeah, and on that, my one comment is if I can call in, I will be remote and probably traveling at that. So if any of the board members happen to be in town and would want to attend personally, you may thumb wrestle over that after the meeting. Just make sure it's no more than one in case I call in. So because we don't want to do a quorum.
Is, out of curiosity, the board standpoint is, are there any major questions that we, at this point, in the
No.
discussion?
No, I was just including, I think James included President Burke on the email, so I was just including Jim. They were part of the discussion of all of the contract, and then just out of courtesy of reaching out to you so that you can kind of understand, you know, our side of the discussions too, and just to have that communication back and forth. But both chiefs and I, James, Joe, and Keith were meeting, but it was just more of a courtesy too.
And maybe the chief wants to just say, has it been going as expected?
Actually, yeah, I'm really happy with how it's being reported. And I'll get into this a little bit in my report, but again, it is now based on the information that the officers are receiving after they investigate or respond to the call. They can go in and make the determination that, okay, this was an HOA related enforcement. They can go ahead and add that disposition call into the computer. So at the end of each month, we will go in, we can pull that list now, which we formerly did not exist, so we could not do it. At least for the first few months, there's going to be several levels of auditing. It starts with the lieutenant manometer. And we're going to go through each of those calls and make sure that they wouldn't fall under more of a traditional police service. If they do, we'll pull them out and make sure that they truly are SROA rules violations. And then create that list, and it gets forwarded to Mindy's from there.
And Administrator Holiday, did you want to mention anything about the upcoming conference, the SDAO conference? I think there's maybe some training opportunities.
Yes. Gosh,
18 and 19.
Yes, I will email out to the board and to Dale if you'd like to attend. There is a regional training in Redmond, I believe, in August, you said, I believe,
18, 19.
18 and 19. And I'm signed up for that. I think Director Stevens, you're signed up, so great. So yeah, so there's more training and then was also gonna email that out to the two new directors as well. So thank you. I'll be sure to do that.
Thank you. With that, Chief Booth, your turn.
Thank you, Vice Chair Shoemaker. Go ahead and look at the dashboard real quick. Total monthly calls in May, a little bit higher than what we ran last year, so 49, almost 50 calls this year compared to 50 last year. Turnout times were considerably lower, which is great. Response times a little bit higher. Most of the reason for that is just heading down to the Pine area, such a big travel distance. Seeing back to service though is quicker, which is great. A lot of training hours in May. We had extrication training, wildland training, to get up to speed for the upcoming wildland season. So there was a lot of that going on. Motor vehicle crashes, only a couple, motor vehicle crashes look pretty low. Anyways, with the way the highway's set up and everything else, so no major wrecks. Most of the major wrecks are in the Pine area for the, two-way in each direction highway, so. Mutual aid given, we went down to the Pine 8 times and we had Ben come up twice. And then total calls were quite a bit higher than last year, 196 compared to 160. And then we billed out, almost 50,000 compared to 37,000 last year for ambulance billing. So that increased there, so.
I mean, this year was 30.
Oh, what? No, sorry, last year was a little higher. Yeah, thank you. I was looking at the higher numbers, Joe.
Wishful thinking.
I know, exactly right.
Question on that, you have 196 in 2026, but produced lower revenues, is that because they would have been closer?
Just depends on the type of calls.
That's what, so that's based on that.
Yeah.
Did you guys respond to the accident concern?
I don't think so.
I was not on this.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just north of the Pine.
Yeah. Right about.
If you're heading north through La Pine, past the Dairy Queen, then it splits off and you have the passing lane right there that's heading north. Right there. So we didn't go down there. They had both their ambulances available and then they turned around their light. So they were gonna fly a patient, but they ended up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Any questions on the dashboard? Let's see. Administrative, we talked about the drywall project. I worked with Oregon State Fire Marshals. They were interviewing for project managers. So did an interview, sent an interview panel for them on that. Fire Defense Board Chief, I'm the Fire Defense Board Chief for Deschutes County, so that's all wrapping up. Got all the fire chiefs here in Central Oregon pretty much up to speed. We're ready to go. So for the wildland season, we're seeing some stuff kick off Northeast Oregon. Washington has quite a few fires going up there. They lost 10 structures, one life because a lady, her husband left the house and she didn't want to go. So the house was burnt to the ground. So, and then Southern Oregon, we've seen a few fires down in there. So it's starting to kick off in different parts of the state, not here yet. We had our Central Oregon Fire Chiefs meeting. I met with Scott Larson. He's with Visit Central Oregon here Sun River. So the chief and I had coffee with him on Monday. Seems like a nice gentleman. It was a good meeting. Yeah, and we'll connect more with him now that we've made that. We've had that meeting with him. So great guy. Really asked a lot of questions and we had a lot of questions for him. We also did Oregon State Fire Marshal Fire Defense Board drill with this Oregon State Fire Marshal's office. So it was about sending resources out of the area. So we had probably about 15 of us in the room, kind of walked it through with all of them. So they understood if we have to send resources out, how to do that, because we rotate. So I'm not up the whole summer. I get a little bit of a break, so. That went really well. Everybody, enjoyed that. And then yesterday met with Senator LaPine Rotary. Did a presentation for them, talked about the, flat fire, went through kind of that process, how, kind of just like from start to finish and how incident management teams work and all of that. So I think it went fairly well. Chief Rassick was there in attendance, so he's up July 15th, so I'll be there to support him. He was there to support me, which is great. So I'll bring a hose, he had a gun. Oops, never mind. Yeah. Sure. Lively crowd, a lot of questions over there, because it was pretty good. Operation, we got through water rescue training this year. We've got just about everybody through that, which is great. Had our operations meeting that I think went really well here a couple of weeks ago, which was, I thought was very productive. Dan Doherty, who's the operations chief in LaPine, is retiring tomorrow. I'm gonna go down for that at 1 o'clock. They have hired a new operations chief, and I can't remember his name. He's coming out of the Seattle area. So we worked with Chief Holsey when Chief Holsey was at Columbia River Fire, so they know each other. So it'll be interesting. We're doing some rope rescue training. A couple guys up to Madras from some intense rope rescue training. We're continuing wildfire training. Yesterday we trained with the U.S. Forest Service. Went really, really well. The guys did a fantastic job. Forest Service was really impressed with how we were first on scene, how we handled that, then how we attacked the fire, and then turned it over to them. So we actually almost put the fire out, which they didn't want. We're like, you guys gotta slow down. They actually told them to slow down. And then we had Central Oregon Fire Management here last week. They did their preseason meeting preseason training up at the training center. So went really well for them. So we have Chief Grover's created a great partnership with the Forest Service and Oregon Department of Forestry. And it's been phenomenal. Our guys are fantastic. Everybody's ready to go. We'll see how the season goes. And then I added to the packet just kind of the predictive services for drought. If you look at that, you can just see how the drought is coming. Right now, it's about Cascades and everything east. And then as it transitions each month, it absorbs the whole state. So see what happens. See how it is. I always say October. I think this year things are going on. La Nina is going to be really interesting when that hits. So, really don't know what is going to happen here. We see it right now in the southern United States with all the storms that are coming through off of that Gulf Coast, coming up to Louisiana. I've been watching the news with a lot of flooding and stuff. That is part of what we can. So it depends how it rolls into here. Usually, it's just Washington and Oregon and California varies like water, the systems roll in. So that has a lot to do with it. So we'll just see how strong it is. They say it's a really strong La Nina, which means potentially like not a lot of snow this winter. So if you've bought a pass, hopefully you can, we'll just see how that goes. And then community events, we had Kids Day at the Village, which was wonderful. It was really fun. Kids had a blast. Chief Rassick was a judge at the bubblegum blowing contest.
I was a winner in the adult.
You could not win. You're a judge.
They threw me on.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. He did actually have the biggest one, but anyways. And then we got 4th of July coming up, so. Questions?
Question for you more generally, in past fire seasons, all over the western part of the nation anyway, coordination across all of the agencies that would need to respond to a large fire has been difficult, either because the actual communication devices have been different, or the systems haven't really been in place, there haven't been coordinated efforts, it seems disjointed. And I know a lot of work has been done on that in the past maybe 5-10 years. What would you say the status is now in responding to a very large fire situation across all these agencies?
In Oregon, we work as one. We don't see that. I mean, let me preface that. Central Oregon and Eastern Oregon, we work as one. Southern Oregon is a little different. There's a little bit of that. A lot of different states, the way they're set up. They're combining the Bureau of Land Management, which is actually under the Department of Interior, their fire systems, and the U.S. Forest Service, which is under the Department of Agriculture. They're actually under two different departments. There's one, it's called the National Fire Service Agency or something. And they're bringing all of them together, which is really, has a lot of people nervous for change. So we'll see how it goes. Chief Hennessy, who came out of Orange County, is actually the one that's going to lead that. And the office for that is going to be in Boise. So it's not going to be in Washington, D.C. as the Department of Interior and Agriculture trying to dictate what happens on the West Coast. So you're actually going to have where the fires are burning. That's where that is going to be. So I know Hennessy really well. He's super smart, super talented. He's doing the right thing. It's just getting everybody on the same page.
So is that headquarters gonna be where it currently is in Boise?
In NIFC, yeah, National Fire, yeah, Interagency Coordination Center, yeah, it's right in that area. Yep.
Great, thanks for you.
Mhm.
Any questions? Richard, you're up.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Starting as we always do with calls for service. 423 calls in the month of May, which is down just a little bit from April and actually down quite a bit from this time last year. 12 investigations, only one of them occurring outside of Sun River. Over at Caldera and Crosswater, there was a total of 37 calls, and I might note that of those 37, 31 of them were self-initiated, and of those 37, only one was responded to by the Southern River Police Department. The administrative update, thank you to everybody in the room who helped make the contract with SROA happen. So we finally got that finalized, and I've already talked to how the invoices are going. I was really happy with how we were able to, the administration, fire department, police department kind of come together and put together what we thought was the appropriate way to account for and invoice our services over here. Contract negotiations for the Police Officers Association are ongoing. There really is no update on that. Our next meeting is scheduled for June 29th. So I'm hoping by July's board meeting that I will have some information. Last month, I reported that Officer Jobert had been given a provisional offer. He has since been hired. May 16th, he was hired. Our recruiting efforts have been paying off. We currently have one lateral police officer and one entry-level police officer recruits who are both in backgrounds. Hopefully we can get them on board with an anticipated hire date of July 16th. Moving on, we started our transition the scheduling software that we use is currently provided by Vector Solutions. And quite honestly, I've always felt that it was a little bit convoluted. And so we were able to transition from Vector Solutions to ADP. Now, we benefit several ways. One, ADP already handles our payroll and our timekeeping, so it kind of streamlines the process for the scheduling to fall in line again with timekeeping and payroll. And two, again, I think it's just an easier system to use. So what we were able to do is to work with Vector Solutions because there was still another year or 18 months remaining on that contract. They were willing to swap out the software. So we are going to be contracting with Vector for their training module and their inventory modules. And then again, moving all of the scheduling over to ADP. I want to thank Sergeant Beck and Brittany Phobie for their work. They really worked hard on that. So big change for us over at the police department. Looking forward to it. The discussions with the county emergency management over SR alerts. Chief Booth and I have met several times with the county in these discussions, and really what it's come down to is SR alerts is too ingrained in this community to back out of it. The county had wished that we were able to kind of throttle back on the messaging and not rely on that for emergency notifications, maybe for more informational type. But again, as we dug deeper into it, it's just not a viable option for Sun River. What we are going to do is I do want to start using it for more information, road closures, other stuff like that. I don't know if I'll do community events, but maybe. And then in the event of an emergency, we will just make sure that any information that goes out on SR alerts mirrors what county emergency management is putting out and what Deschutes 911 is putting out. And in fact, we had county emergency management came over Tuesday and gave us all training on how to put information into that Everbridge account. So I anticipate using that a little more often moving forward. And then lastly, our department policy is always being updated, but Lexipol, who administers some of our policy, came out with some new updates to comply with state legislation, most notably our use of the ALPR cameras and uniform requirements. So we are compliant in those. Moving on to operations. The month of May, again, thank you to Lieutenant Van Meter for his work on getting our bike patrol put together so quickly. Our 4 officers are up and trained and on board, and they're out there 7 days a week. I'm sure you guys have seen them out there. We have a really great squad this year.
Rock and roll.
They are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, as mentioned, Officer Gobert was hired on the 16th of May. He is currently in field training with Corporal Lawrence. He's in his starting his 3rd week of field training and is progressing well. Officer Ardice has completed his SWAT training and is, in fact, I think he's already been on a couple of deployments with the team out there. And then we've got a couple of work anniversaries, 1 year anniversary for Corporal Piontek and a 5-year work anniversary for Sergeant Beck. Citizens Patrol, it's nice to have those who are away for the winter months. It's nice to have the full staffing of our CP members back for the summer and their hours. It's reflected in their volunteer hours. And 2, they were out there for the Kids Day event in May. It was nice to see everybody out there. It was a really fun event. Speaking of community events, Lieutenant Van Meter provided the Nature Center employees with some de-escalation training. And I have had 1 phone call and 2 in-person visits. They loved it. And so you hit that out. Thank you for doing that. Again, as mentioned, we had the Kids Day in May over at the village. Corporal Lawrence participated in the Unity Tour. For those who aren't familiar with the Unity Tour, that's a 300-mile bike ride that finishes at the National Law Enforcement Officer Memorial back in Washington, D.C. So she was out there and represented our police department. Lieutenant Van Meter and I attended the for Central Oregon, and just because it makes me feel better, I'll announce that for now 2024, 2025, there were no police officers in the state of Oregon that have been killed in the line of duty. Planning meetings for the Sun River Oktoberfest are moving on, and then again, all our involvement with the Service District and SORA joint board meeting. That is it for the police department update, unless there are any questions. Yes, ma'am.
A question, we get a lot of volunteer hours from the Citizens Patrol. Is there a way that the board can recognize that or thank them more directly? I don't know if they realize how much we recognize and appreciate their work.
100% certain there is a way. Let's have some further discussion. Consider what might be the most appropriate. you know, I go out of my way to let them know what a value they are to the service district and to the community. But I think some formal recognition from the board is a fantastic idea.
Good idea. Maybe we can name a room after someone. Okay. That's it for the, agency head report. So we'll move on to number 7 in new business. The motion to approve a 3% COLA for fire chief, deputy fire chief, police chief, police lieutenant, administrator, executive assistants, police sergeants, community service officer to be effective July 1st, 2026. They're all in here with a 3% raise attached to them. We just need a vote, I'm guessing, Mindy, on or approval for by signing these and having to move forward, correct?
Correct. So, the board for many, many years has been, very supportive of providing COLAs, pretty close or either the same amount that has been negotiated, with the unions. And part of that packet, the fire union staff are in that, which that doesn't require a vote because that's contract. But usually the board extends that same COLA to non-represented staff, which is that list of individuals you just read. So it's already been budgeted for, it's already been through, we just assume, so it's already as part of next year's budget as well.
Okay. So with that, probably need to entertain a motion. Okay. So with that, we'll, I'd entertain a motion to approve the signing of these 3% raises for those individuals stated.
I approve. I mean, I would move, sorry.
I'll second.
See where I'm going?
Yep. Okay, that will have a vote. Yes, Director. Yes.
Yes, please.
Director Steve, that's a yes. Director Kelly.
Yes.
Chairman Pfister. The
Yes.
thumbs up. That's a yes. Okay, and Director Shoemaker votes yes as well. So I'll sign those before I leave. Number 8, annual performance reviews. Chief and Administrator, this pops up every year. Chairman Pfister, I'm sure you have something to say about this because you handled it last year.
I do. I handled it last year. Actually, the process I used last year was I did I requested from the board that if you had anything specific about any of the 3 personnel mentioned, send it to me. I would incorporate that into a review, and then I would publish it or send it through Mindy, or actually, no, I'll send it to the board. I can't do it through Mindy. I will send it to the board. Obviously, we have to make sure that we're not doing a quorum. So I will send the review. If there is anything that you want to do or any changes that you want to make, you would send them back directly to me. Or if you look at any of the reviews and you feel that we need to discuss those, then we could call an executive session and discuss them. Typically you could just call an executive session and pull the review together. But my general policy is we don't need to do executive sessions unless it's absolutely necessary. So I think this is a good way to make sure that we get the process going. So unless there's any concern with that process or how it worked in the last couple of years, that's the process that I would propose for this year, which lets the 4 of you sitting at the front table off the hook, other than giving feedback.
And Jim, what's the timeline for that?
Typically we get them out in July and they're delivered in July or August.
So is this your request for us to provide input on those individuals? Or
So
no,
if
you're
it-
going to request separate?
So if there is no concern for the question, is there a concern from any of you on the process as proposed? If there's no concern for the process, then the process starts with my request as chair to the 4 of you. is to send only to me any specific feedback that you have for either Administrator Holliday, Chief Boos, or Chief Rassick. Send that to me, and I will use that. I typically ask a few other people as well, and I will get the review process started. And then you should probably early July in your inbox see the draft reviews.
Chair Pfister, just out of concern for serial meetings, would it be helpful if Rachel, because she could be the point of contact to gather the information from the board members?
When I asked, because I asked about this, I asked legal about this a couple of years ago, and they said, as proposed, it's not a serial meeting because you're not asking them to vote on anything. Typically, the only thing that because in the end, we are not voting on these reviews. We're just making sure that everybody has the opportunity to provide the feedback. And since it's not a vote, it doesn't constitute a serial meeting. And I don't have a problem involving somebody else, but we are talking senior staff in here. And so, I have the fullest confidence in all the service district staff, but we don't need to spread this too far, especially when, you're talking different hierarchies inside the SSD.
And when are you requesting our feedback or our input, our initial input?
By July 1, please. And then, like I said, you'll all get a review, and then you have a chance to provide feedback on that. And my intent would be delivering them after the board meeting in July, in case we need to have an executive session, and before the August meeting.
I would just like to point out that there is also the option, the employee has the option if they'd like any discussion to be in public session. So, there's also potential that it would be a public meeting if the employee being discussed chooses to do so.
Thank you for clarifying that, Mindy. And my understanding is if any of the three employees under discussion here, the two chiefs or Mindy, wanted to have an open session discussing their review, they are able to request that. I'd ask the three of you to consider that, and if for some reason you do want one, we could have it in the July meeting. If after you get the review, you have concerns with the review, you also then have the option to convene a public meeting using the same format.
Okay. Anything else regarding that? Just be looking for the email link.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Mindy, number 9, this is yours.
Yes,
for the unaudited financials.
Yes.
We need to take a look at.
So these are the May unaudited financials. So we just have the month of June left for this fiscal year. So we're getting close to the end of our fiscal year, and all the I just want to remind the chiefs, the executive assistants already have it on their radar, but to really be cautious of any invoices coming in to make sure that it's not for the next fiscal year. Those need to be wait to be processed till after July 1st. So the first is revenue. So many of these items we've already discussed. The transfers and revenue, like I've said, that I like to wait till towards the end of the year. And so I have done those for June. So you'll see those in the June financials. That's the $150,000 budgeted transfer to the capital reserve account. So you will see that in the June financials. Otherwise, there's nothing really else of note for revenue. If anybody has any questions? To move on to police department expenses, you'll see I always highlight the salaries and benefits, and those are coming in for the police department under budget. And then materials and services, a few of them we've already talked about that I've highlighted, but overall, materials and services for the police department is under budget for this time, this year. Fire department salaries, same thing. I always highlight the salaries and benefit. The salaries are slightly under budget, but the benefits are right on target. So that is good. And then you also have that supplemental documentation in with your financial packet that shows the amount of conflagration fire overtime, because that does come out of that overtime line item in the financials. And so we get reimbursed for that over in the revenue side. So, so that's a wash. So when you take out that amount, the overtime budget for just regular overtime for the fire department is well below budget. So that's coming in really strongly under budget. So that's great. To look at materials and services, there's already a few line items that are over that we've already discussed, but overall materials and services is well under budget as well for this time of year. Let's see, bike patrol. Started to see a little bit of movement in bike patrol towards the end of May. So it's kind of hard to project over budget, under budget, because now the way that we're receiving the funds for that department is different. We're invoicing SROA per hour per bike patrol to have that as a net zero for the district. So at the end of this fiscal year, it's kind of hard to gauge whether or not that is on track or not. But as you can see, there's still plenty of funds there for next month as well for the bike patrol program. And then, of course, we'll start seeing those revenues coming in on the revenue side, which that will just go in that same SROA contracts GL in the revenue line for those payments. I just have them being deposited into that GL. This is also the first budget adjustment that we'll take to the county in September, because during budgeting time, there was not an agreement in place, so there was not any bike patrol in the budget for next fiscal year. So I'll be working with chief and the police staff on how do we want to budget that. I mean, what are we looking for as next fiscal year, and how, you know, a cost neutral basis. I assume it'll be pretty similar to how we budget previous years, but we'll discuss that more, and then that budget adjustment will come before the board probably in August.
And Mindy, how did we, first of all, did we reimburse SROA for the old rules agreement? I think we owed them a little under $5,000 adjusted bike patrol rules, correct? So was that check sent over?
Yes, so previously SROA would give us one lump of money for rules and regulations enforcement, and then, two for rules and regulation. Usually it's in August and January. And then they give us one for all of bike patrol for the fiscal year. So since there was a lag in bike patrol, I worked with James and Joe, and then there wasn't a payment for the second half of the HOA rules. Anyway, we reconciled that so we could button up that previous contract. We reimbursed them. So now moving forward, we're just charging, receiving, and there's not this other piece out there from the previous contract in the. So that has been buttoned up.
Yeah, and it's probably just buried somewhere in admin, but I just couldn't find that it had been done. So if you verify that it's been done, which you did, thank you, and then I can follow up with you just so that you answer my questions on where it actually shows up in our budget.
Yes, so what it would have been is there, let's see, in the revenue line item, bike patrol charges. I'm not sure, is the 3,000, well, it might be in the June financials then, that it'll show that we credited it back out of that revenue. So
that's fine. I'll follow up with you when I get back.
Perfect. Yep. So, because that might have happened just in the last week or two, that check went out. So it'll be in the next month's.
Oh, good point.
Okay, so moving on to administration, salary and benefits are coming in under budget. There's also quite a few line items under materials and services, which that just happens with all three departments by the end of the year. We do our best guess on what things are gonna come in as budget. Some are over, some are under, but the main point is that the material and services budget for each agency is under budget, so that's great. So the same holds true for the admin budget. And then to go over to the next page, which is 716, our reserve fund. So that's typically not looked at as a year to date. It's more item based to make sure we're staying on or below budget. So you'll see that police equipment, that budget adjustment is in there for that extra 21,000 or so. So next month, you'll see that that came out for the purchase of that equipment that was approved for Officer RDAs to be part of that CERT program. But I just make sure that each expense is either at or below budget for that fund. 717, not a ton of movement in that fund in the last month. And as you can see, there's about $187,000 left in that for the fiscal year. So it doesn't sound like there's going to be a lot of movement with the dry well. So that. So at the bottom, you'll see the three funds broken out. And so overall, you'll see that fund 715 is at about 81.87%. So we're definitely below budget for this time of year. And then fund 716, that's, under budget, but also, like I said, it's more expense related versus year to date related. And then the 717 fund, it's for low budget. There's still funds in there if needed, but it sounds like those will just be sent over for next fiscal.
And just,
Yes, sir.
this is more for, it's, as we're talking about personnel and expense category, the 715 fund, the personnel, the police department is well below budget. That's because they're being basically having to be refilled and filled as people depart, and so it's created a whole department that we can't have somebody there full time. It's just not, haven't been able to do it for a while. So ideally, that's why ideally, it would be matching about 90% or so, or what the other budgets are showing. And fires right on their budget. It's a more consistent basis.
In general, that's the backfill to cover those openings is, with overtime, it's cheaper now.
So that's why you'll see that larger discrepancy. Couple items. All right.
No, it's great. Does anybody have any questions about the May financials?
No. Okay. So with that, we have, Dale, guess what?
What?
Yes, sir. Oh, did I miss something? Oh,
I'm sorry, we need a
we
motion.
need a motion
Yeah, on
to,
it.
sorry.
That's okay.
With that, I take a motion to approve the unaudited financials as they exist.
Second?
So moved. With that, we'll take a vote. Director Zook?
Yes, sir.
Director Stevens?
Yes.
Director Kelly?
Yes.
Chair Pfister?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Director Shoemaker votes yes. That approved those unaudited financials. And finally, okay, now it's your turn, Dale. Okay. Report from the SRO board meeting.
One, thank you for the opportunity. I think the biggest news is that we've got a fire protection work group in place. 12 homeowners are on this group. It is a continuing, ongoing process. And there'll be 3 board members from River to be liaisons on that. And first meeting hopefully will be July. And so we're letting you know on that. And we appreciate the involvement of our police and especially our fire department. We're excited. We got some outstanding individuals that are homeowners that have stepped up, and so we're going to really be making some decisions. And as we go along with the plan, we're going to be, putting those into action as we make decisions on them. So it's not going to be a 3-year and then we've got a plan. I'm very pleased about it. We do have urgency in front of us.
Excellent. Anything else we need to be aware of over there?
I think everybody's pleased if you agreed to the agreement. It's a pleasure to be here. And, yeah, like I mentioned, it's good to see the patrol, like patrol out there. And thank you all for your service and how you look after us. We're grateful.
Well, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Right.
I have a question, Dale. So the new board members, have those been announced for?
They have not. It's,
Okay.
there's a voting process. It's usually at the end of, it's,
Oh, okay,
my first meeting last year was in September, so
gotcha.
kind of it's, yeah. And we got 3 board positions empty, actually 4 now with Randy leaving. And so, there's only 3 candidates, so
Ah,
one of our discussions is gonna be, what do we have to do to get a full board, so.
yeah, gotcha.
Okay, anything else we need to bring up? We good with the order for the board? Chiefs? Administrators? Nobody. Okay, well, with that, we're gonna, see, is Randy on? I don't think he is.
Right.
He tried. But we're gonna save that for until next time.
Yeah, we'll invite him. to
Okay, we'll make sure to
The
invite him.
next meeting.
Great, thank you. Okay, so with that, I take a motion to adjourn. There's nothing else to be good of the order. I'll move to adjourn.
I
Second,
would like to say.
okay, and so you shall. All right, with that, we'll take a vote. Director Zoop? Yes. Director Stevens?
Yeah.
Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Pfister, if you're still there?
Yes.
There he is. Okay, that's a yes. And Director Shoemaker votes yes. Thank you all. Until next time, I will not be at the next one. So Jim, you will have to find another person to take over.
I should be back for that one. And, I'll note though, John, you're doing a really good job of running these meetings. You get us out really early. So
I want you to
maybe
know
we
the
could just,
time.
bring you back.
You know?
Yeah. We could just bring you back to run the meetings for us.
You don't pay enough.
All right. See you, everyone.
Big Travis. And thank you.